Well, here we are in the month of December, and 2026 is right around the corner. Now, 2026, what are you going to have to do? You're going to have to file your income taxes. Yep, we all have to do it. April 15th, as you know, is the deadline. But something you need to know about the new big and beautiful bill that was passed by Congress under the auspices of the Trump administration, saying they wanted this bill passed. This bill is a lot bigger than most people understand, and I thought I would review some of the highlights for the big, beautiful bill going into 2026, things that you should know about that have been talked about for, well, a long period of time. Here's some of the stuff they're talking about. SNAP, that's the food stamp program. Well, now they're expanding the work requirements. So if you're on SNAP and you're an able-bodied, you're going to have to work a certain amount of hours or find work or whatever. But you're going to have to put some time in to get your benefits. And also, they're cutting back on what you're allowed to purchase with SNAP. Essentials, things that are good for your body, not necessarily, treats. I hate to say the word, but it is what it is. Also, like I said, expanding the work requirements, it used to be the maximum age it could be was 54. Well, now they're expanding the work requirements to the age 64. So if you're 54 thinking, hey, I don't have to do it anymore, do I have to work? 64 is a requirement. And also, if you're adults with kids between the ages of 14 and 17, you're also going to have to work. So if you're going to get SNAP benefits, you're going to get the food stamps, you're going to have to work to get it. There's a lot of people out there that say, I don't like doing that. I don't have to work. I don't want to work. Well, if you don't want the SNAP benefits, then don't work. That's the way the rules are. Nothing comes for free, folks. There's no such thing as a free lunch. In fact, there's no such thing as a free SNAP. All right, let's talk about this. Also, refugees and those who are asylum seekers, that's very important in this country right now, in this day and age, are not eligible for SNAP. Now, I should point out, there's an attorney general in a particular state of the West Coast is suing because, his people in his state are supposed to get their food stamps and they're not getting it. And he's suing for it. We'll see where that lawsuit goes. Now, here's something else. But now they're saying, hey, the states are going to have to start taking 75% of the cost. Government will pay a certain percent of it, but the states are going to be paying 75% over 50%. Now, let's talk about energy. Well, remember one thing they did with electric cars during the previous administration? They said, hey, you buy an electric car, we'll give you a $7,500 tax credit on your electric car. Well, electric cars are a folly, folks, and they're going away, and they're taking away that $7,500 tax credit. That will be gone. And frankly, electric cars are going to be gone anyway because it's a bad plan. It was a bad idea from the get-go, in my opinion. Now, tax cuts. Let's go on to those. The 2017 tax cuts were temporary. You may not have realized that, but they were in fact temporary. And they were due to expire. And the Congress wanted to let them expire so they could, raise your taxes. Well, the 2017 tax cuts are now permanent. Not that the Congress isn't going to try to rework it and get rid of it anyway, but at least it's now permanent. And let's talk about tax breaks from the big and beautiful bill. And this involves overtime pay, tip pay, those kind of things. Here's the deal. If you work on tips, you're going to be tax-free for the first $25,000 if your income is under $150,000 a year. So no taxes on tips up to $25,000 if you're under $150,000. Now, overtime, you folks working overtime. No taxes on overtime up to $12,500 worth of overtime. And that's also for people earning under $150,000. So there's where that particular tax break comes in the president was talking about. There's another thing. It's called SALT. You may have heard about it. If you don't know what SALT means, it means state and local taxes. So if you're a state that charges you, income tax, local taxes, here in Indiana, we have not just state tax, we have local income tax as well. Well, now you're going to get a deduction for that. Deduction for state and local taxes previously was $10,000. Well, now that deduction level has gone up to $40,000 because People living in the higher income states, the East Coast, West Coast, they're paying a lot more tax than you and I do, but we're still paying taxes here in the Hoosier state. And finally, let's get into Medicaid. Medicaid is where the states pay, but the federal government pays a lot of it, but the states pay a certain portion of it. So it used to be that you had to recertify yourself in Medicaid every year. Now you recertify every 6 months. So people who want to get Medicaid are going to have to get recertified every 6 months. And they're requiring able-bodied adults to work up to 80 hours per month to get your Medicaid. So if you're able-bodied and you can work, you're going to have to work or seek out work or be in school. That's the other option you have. So if you're getting Medicaid and you want to go to school and learn how to do something, learn a trade, if you're in a trade school, 80 hours a week, 80 hours a month rather. 80 hours a month, that's the requirement to get your Medicaid. So those are some of the things happening in the big, beautiful bill that was passed early in the Trump administration. Now you know what's going on for 2026. They estimate the GDP in this country should jump up to about 4% because of the big and beautiful bill. We shall see what happens. But right now, those are the basic things you need to know for filing your taxes coming up in April, because you will file them like everybody else does. But at least you're going to find the taxes may go down. Your refund may go up. And if you do get a refund, you put a smile on your face. And now, you know.